Owning property in a place like Phuket, and just to be clear, we're saying Phuket, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
You picture this amazing villa, the sun, the beaches. It's a powerful image. But here's the thing, that dream, it can get complicated, maybe even really expensive, faster than you think, if you're not careful. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the legal side of buying property in Phuket. We want to help you sort of sidestep the common pitfalls, the expensive mistakes, and our guide for this comes straight from the experts at Ocean Worldwide.
That's right. And Ocean Worldwide, well, they're not just any agency. They've been on the ground in Phuket since 2004. They're really the go-to for luxury real estate there, focusing on high-end homes in Phuket and also Koh Samui. We're talking top-tier properties. Sandra O'Neill, she's the director there, and she's personally helped, literally thousands of families and investors navigate this market over the years. So what we're sharing today is basically their hard-won insider knowledge, stuff you really need to know to make a smart, secure investment.
Okay, let's get into it then. Because buying in Phuket, it's definitely not like buying back home. There are some unique legal things you just have to understand right from the start. What are the main ways foreigners can actually own property in Thailand?
Great place to start. Basically, for foreigners, it boils down to two main categories: freehold and leasehold. Freehold is what most people think of as full ownership. Your name's on the title deed, the shanout. But, and this is a big but, it mainly applies to condominium units.
Okay.
And here's the crucial part. There's a strict limit. Foreigners, altogether, can only own up to 49% of the total saleable area in any single condo building.
Not 49% of the units, but the actual floor space.
Exactly, the total area. It's a really key piece of information. So if that 49% quota is already full, well, you can't buy a freehold unit there. Simple as that.
Right. It's like trying to get into a popular club. Once it's full, it's full.
That's a perfect analogy. You absolutely have to check this with the developer or, get your lawyer on it early on.
Okay, so that's condos. What about if you want a house or maybe just a piece of land?
Right. For houses or land, freehold ownership for foreigners is generally not an option. So you'll typically be looking at a leasehold agreement. This means you lease the property, usually for a maximum of 30 years. It gives you the right to use it, benefit from it, live in it.
30 years? Can you renew it?
Yes, renewals are often possible, typically for further 30-year periods. That needs to be clear in the agreement, of course. And you could usually transfer the lease to someone else if you decide to sell later on.
Okay.
And an interesting point, leasehold registration taxes, they tend to be lower than freehold.
Oh, cool.
Also, for added security, especially with, more valuable properties, it's often better if the owner, the lessor, is a limited company rather than just an individual. Agencies like Ocean Worldwide Phuket, they can definitely help find property structured this way.
That makes sense. It sounds like a solid long-term option, even if you don't own the land itself. Now, what about setting up a Thai company to buy the property? You hear about that sometimes.
You do. It is an alternative, but honestly, it's way more complex. And it carries some pretty significant risks if it's not done absolutely by the book.
How so?
Well, setting up a Thai company just to hold land for a foreigner requires really careful legal advice. The big danger is falling foul of the rules against nominee ownership.
Nominee ownership. What's that exactly?
It's basically using Thai individuals or a Thai company, just as a front, right, to hold the land on paper because the foreigner legally can't. It's strictly illegal.
Ah, okay. Serious stuff.
Very serious. The penalties are severe. You could lose everything. So if you're even thinking about that route, you need expert, completely trustworthy legal counsel. It's not something to DIY.
Right. That actually leads perfectly into the next point. Before anyone gets swept away by pictures of infinity pools, we need to talk about due diligence. Checking the actual property's legal status. You said skipping this is like building a house on sand. So what does checking the property's passport and family tree actually involve?
Absolutely critical stage. The very first step, the most important one really, is confirming who legally owns it and checking its history. Your lawyer needs to get hold of the official land title deed, the shanote, and scrutinize it. They're looking for any red flags, outstanding mortgages, liens, any legal claims against it.
Okay.
This check confirms you're actually dealing with the rightful owner and that the title is clear. It's fundamental.
And you mentioned liens and encumbrances. What kind of things are we talking about there?
Yeah, so as part of that title check, the lawyer looks for any encumbrances. These are basically legal claims or restrictions attached to the property. Could be a mortgage, could be rights held by a creditor, maybe an existing lease agreement someone else has, or even a right-of-way across the land.
I see. Things that could really affect how you use the property.
Exactly. They can seriously impact your enjoyment, your use, and definitely the future value. Finding these before you buy is absolutely vital. Undisclosed ones are a nightmare.
Makes sense. What else does that title deed check cover? Boundaries, zoning.
Yes, both. The lawyer verifies that the boundaries shown on the deed actually match what's on the ground. The walls, the fences. You'd be surprised how often there are discrepancies. And equally important is zoning. Is the land actually zoned for what you want to do? Usually residential, but you need to confirm. Plus, checking for any ongoing disputes with neighbors about boundaries.
Wow. Okay. Getting that wrong sounds like it could lead to huge problems later.
Massive headaches, potential legal fights, having to change your plans. You really want to avoid all that.
So it really hammers on the point. Getting a qualified Thai property lawyer involved seems less like an option and more like a necessity.
Oh, absolutely. Non-negotiable, really. You wouldn't try building a house without a builder, right? Same principle.
What's the biggest mistake people make trying to go it alone without that expert legal help?
I'd say the single biggest pitfall is simply not understanding what they're signing. The legalese, the structure of Thai contracts. It's different. People might assume it works like back home, or worse, they rely on the developer's lawyer. Remember, that lawyer works for the developer, not you.
Good point.
You need your own lawyer, someone who specializes in Thai property law for foreigners, who can explain everything in plain English, not jargon. They're your advocate, your shield.
How do you find someone like that?
Recommendations are good. Asking other expats. Your embassy might also have a list of reputable legal professionals. Do your homework on the lawyer, too.
And what exactly will this lawyer be doing? Reviewing the contracts, I assume?
Meticulously. They'll go through the sale and purchase agreement, the SBA, any reservation forms, lease agreements, every single document. They're looking at the fine print. Things like payment schedules, do they make sense? Are they tied to actual construction progress? You don't want to pay too much up front. They check completion dates. What happens if there are delays? Are there penalties for the developer? Transfer clauses, hidden fees, dispute resolution processes. And critically, they look for what I call ghost clauses terms that might look official but are actually unenforceable under Thai law. Those can leave you really exposed if something goes wrong.
Unenforceable clauses. Wow. So the contract might not even be fully valid.
Parts of it might not be, exactly. That's why you need an expert eye to ensure the contract is solid and actually protects your interests.
Okay, that's incredibly valuable. Now, talking about contracts, deposits, they usually come early in the process. What's the key thing to know about paying a deposit?
Vital point. When you sign that initial reservation agreement, you'll usually pay a deposit to take the property off the market. The key insight here is deposits are generally non-refundable, unless specific conditions written into that agreement aren't met by the seller. Well, for instance, if your lawyer's due diligence check uncovers a major legal issue with the title or a big structural problem the seller knew about but didn't disclose, and they can't fix it, your agreement should clearly state conditions under which your deposit is refundable. You need to check those terms very, very carefully.
And where does the deposit go? Is it held securely?
Good question. Your lawyer should advise on this. Sometimes it's held in an escrow account, which is safer. Sometimes it goes directly to the developer. Again, get clarity on this before you pay. Make sure there are clauses protecting that deposit if the deal falls through for valid reasons.
Right. And what about the main payments, especially bringing money in from overseas?
Yes, the Foreign Exchange Transaction Form, or FETF. This is crucial for foreigners. Basically, the Thailand department needs proof that the money you used to buy the property came from outside Thailand. When you transfer foreign currency into Thailand and convert it to Thai baht through a Thai bank, the bank issues this FETF document. You need this form for the final property registration. Keep it safe.
Okay, FEPF. Got it. Essential piece of paper.
Absolutely. It proves the legitimate foreign source of your funds.
So we've covered the legal side, the contracts, the money trail. But let's go back to that house on sand idea. Due diligence isn't just paperwork, is it? What about checking the actual physical building?
No, definitely not just paperwork. You absolutely have to get the physical property inspected thoroughly. Hire a qualified, independent property inspector.
You mean not just rely on the seller's agent saying everything's fine?
Please don't. An inspector is your eyes and ears. They'll spot things you'd likely miss: dodgy plumbing, maybe unsafe wiring, structural issues, leaks, termite damage, you name it.
It's like buying a used car, isn't it? You'd get a mechanic to check the engine.
Exactly the same principle. It's an investment in peace of mind. Finding problems after you've bought is painful and expensive.
What else beyond the physical structure? You mentioned zoning earlier.
Yes, zoning and also environmental codes. You need to be sure the property complies with all local regulations. Is it in the right zone for residential use? Depending on the location and type of property, there might be specific environmental rules, maybe requiring an environmental impact assessment, EIA. Your lawyer can help check this, but it confirms the property is legally sound from a planning viewpoint.
Right, so you don't buy something then find out you can't legally live in it or build what you planned.
Precisely. And related to that is verifying planning permissions. If it's an existing property that's been renovated, or especially if it's a new build or off-plan purchase, you need confirmation that all the construction was properly approved. Did it meet the required standards? Are all the permits in place?
Okay. Skipping that sounds like asking for trouble with the local authorities later on.
It really is. It avoids potential fines, orders to demolish unpermitted work, just ensures everything is above board.
Got it. Now, it's easy to focus on the big purchase price, but buying property always comes with other costs. What financial obligations should people budget for in Phuket?
Good point. Beyond the sticker price, yes, there are definitely other costs. When you transfer ownership at the land department, there are government fees. These usually include a transfer fee and stamp duty. Typically, these are split 50-50 between the buyer and seller, but again, that should be clearly stated in your SPA. Check that.
Okay, transfer fees, stamp duty. What about ongoing costs? Taxes.
Yes, there are annual property taxes. For residential properties in Thailand, they're generally quite low compared to many other countries, but they exist and need to be paid. And if you buy a condo, you'll have monthly or annual common area fees. These go to the juristic person, that's the legal entity like a homeowners association, that manages the building.
Right, for upkeep, security, the pool.
Exactly. Pool maintenance, security guards, cleaning staff, repairs to common areas. Yep. You need to find out what these fees are before you buy, as they're an ongoing commitment.
And if you plan to rent the property out, tax implications there.
Definitely. If you earn rental income from your Thai property, that income is taxable in Thailand. There's usually a withholding tax deducted from the rent. The exact rate can depend on things like your tax residency status. It's really best practice to talk to a tax advisor or your lawyer about this. Get it set up correctly from the start.
Especially for luxury properties, I imagine the numbers can get significant.
They can, yes. Proper tax planning is important to avoid any surprises from the revenue department down the line.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Sometimes you hear about off-market deals, maybe something not listed publicly. Sounds potentially exciting, but also risky.
It can be both. Off-market deals sometimes offer unique properties, maybe at a good price. But yes, the risks can be higher because there's often less transparency.
So if you're looking at, say, a new development that's not widely advertised yet, what's the absolute golden rule?
For new developments, especially off-plan, the golden rule is trust, but verify the developer's past performance. Seriously, check their track record. Have they actually finished other projects? Were they on time? Were buyers happy with the quality? Do they have all the necessary building permits and the EIA approval for this project?
Right. A slick brochure isn't enough.
Not even close. A developer's history of delivering is the best predictor you have. A lack of track record or a history of problems, that's a huge red flag.
And for securing leasehold or freehold rights in these less standard deals?
Extreme diligence is needed. If it's leasehold, you need to understand every single clause of that lease. The duration, the renewal conditions, any restrictions. Is the lessor financially stable? If it's supposedly freehold, triple check the seller's right to sell. Are there hidden mortgages? Other claims? Off-market often means more complexity, and complexity usually increases risk. If it feels too complicated, proceed with extreme caution.
That makes sense. It seems like alongside the specific deal, you really need to understand the wider Phuket market too. It's not just about the building itself.
Absolutely key. Phuket isn't just one market. Different areas have different vibes, different price points, different target renters.
Like you mentioned earlier, Surin and Bang Tao for luxury.
Exactly. Surin, Bang Tao attract that high-end tourist and resident. Then you have areas like Kata and Karon, maybe more popular with families. Rawai and Nai Harn down south are very popular with expats, a bit more laid back. Knowing these nuances helps you choose a location that actually matches your investment goals. Are you aiming for top-dollar short-term holiday lets or steady long-term expat tenants?
How do you figure out the rental potential? Just guess.
No, you need to do some research. Look at comparable properties in the area. What are similar villas or condos actually renting for? Use platforms like Airbnb, check local agency sites. Are they booked consistently? Remember, Phuket has very distinct high and low seasons, which massively impact short-term rental income. Long-term rentals offer more stability, usually lower monthly rates, though.
And the source mentioned the Thai market may be needing a boost.
Yeah, the article noted that currently, the market relies quite heavily on international buyers and tourism. Local demand isn't quite enough to drive major growth on its own, so government stimulus could play a role in the future. Something to keep an eye on.
What about spotting areas that might grow in value? Future hotspots?
Yeah, that's about looking for signs of development. Are there new roads planned? Big infrastructure projects like airport upgrades? Is the government investing in a particular area? Sometimes you see new hubs emerging, maybe areas popular with digital nomads, or new international schools drawing families. Keeping your ear to the ground about these developments can help you invest ahead of the curve.
Okay, so market knowledge is crucial. Let's talk about the final stages. You found a place, done your checks, agreed on a price. Now it's about locking it down and protecting yourself through paperwork. You said, get your hands dirty here.
Metaphorically speaking. But yes, this is where meticulous record keeping is absolutely vital. It's maybe not glamorous, but it's so important. Keep everything. Your original sale and purchase agreement, the title deed copy, all receipts for payments made, utility bills once you own it, any important emails or letters. Keep it organized, maybe digital copies too.
And you mentioned that FETF form again.
Yes, the foreign exchange transaction form. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's that important for foreigners. You need those original forms from your Thai bank for every chunk of money you brought in from overseas to pay for the property. You'll submit these to the land department when you register the property in your name. Without them, the transfer simply won't happen. Ocean Worldwide, for instance, they guide clients through this meticulously, like for a villa in Bang Tao that ensured all the funds are tracked via FUTF, possibly even coordinating via WhatsApp for efficiency, but always ensuring the paper trail is perfect.
Okay, so FETF is non-negotiable. What else on payments?
Stick to the payment schedule outlined in your SPA, especially for off-plan. Get an official receipt for every single payment. Keep copies of bank transfer confirmations. This paper trail proves you've met your obligations. And as we said before about deposits, ensure your contract has clauses protecting you if the sale falls through due to the seller's fault or unforeseen issues found during due diligence. Good records are your best defense if any dispute arises.
Right. And that brings us back to the contract itself. You mentioned earlier that sometimes clauses might be included that aren't actually legal in Thailand or just really vague. How do you guard against that?
It starts with clarity. The contract, the SPA, it should be written in a way that's reasonably easy to understand. Clear language, specific dates, clear payment terms, clear consequences for delays. If a clause seems deliberately obscure or confusing, that's a warning sign.
And this is where the lawyer earns their fee again, spotting the dodgy clauses.
Precisely. Identifying clauses contrary to Thai law is a key part of their job. They know the regulations. They can spot things like attempts to circumvent foreign ownership restrictions illegally, like nominee structures or clauses about deposits that don't offer proper protection. They'll flag anything that's unenforceable or just plain unfair to you as the buyer.
Can you push back on those clauses? Negotiate changes?
Absolutely. You should seek amendments for a fair agreement. Don't just accept the first draft, especially if it's from the seller or developer. Negotiation is normal. If your lawyer flags problematic clauses, they can propose changes. A reputable seller should be willing to discuss and agree on fair terms, maybe adding penalties if they miss the completion date, for example, if that wasn't already in there.
So don't be afraid to ask for changes to make it fair.
Definitely not. A fair, clear, legally sound contract protects everyone involved. It's much better to spend a bit more time negotiating upfront than face huge problems later.
Okay, wow. It does sound like there's a fair bit to navigate, doesn't it? Freehold, leasehold, genotes, FETFs, lawyers, inspections. It can seem a little daunting, but actually listening to you break it down, most of the potential problems seem, well, avoidable if you do the groundwork.
That's exactly it. Most issues arise from people rushing in, cutting corners, or not getting the right advice.
It really just comes down to doing your homework properly, asking lots of questions, and not signing anything you don't fully understand.
Precisely. Keep meticulous records, understand all the costs up front and ongoing, and please, please get professional advice from a qualified Thai property lawyer before you commit. That's the core message.
So if you follow those steps, armed with this kind of knowledge, you're not just buying bricks and mortar or a nice view in Phuket, you're actually investing in peace of mind. That lets you genuinely relax and enjoy your piece of paradise without that nagging worry about some hidden legal bomb waiting to go off. Makes you think, doesn't it? For anyone listening who's dreaming of Phuket, what's the very first aspect of this deep dive you'll start exploring to turn that dream into a secure reality?